Have you been thrown into the virtual leadership space without a lot of supports? Yeah, you and half the rest of the world. Hey, my dear, I am leadership development coach Kathy Archer, and I help women leaders enjoy impactful leadership. And today we are going to talk about 3 tips to help you rock those virtual conversations. Because if you're like most leaders in the nonprofit world, you've been struggling a little bit with trying to figure out how to do this because we're a touchy-feely bunch. We are used to being connected with each other face to face. And now suddenly you're having to have these conversations virtually. Some of those conversations are scheduled. You know, you're doing regular supervision or contact with people. Some of them are team meetings. And then there's some that are those things where you just have to address an issue with someone. And how do you have those conversations in a way that is not only effective, but allows you to feel confident in your ability to have that conversation and confident that they're hearing what you need to say? There are 3 quick tips I'm going to share with you today. And these are just going to help you really rock this conversation. Let's dive in. First one, connect before you continue. So part of this is that you need to connect with the internet. Like, make sure you have a stable connection before you carry on. There is nothing worse than broken conversation, than internet like fading in and out. Make sure you've got a stable connection, but also look for things like noise. Look for the sound. Can you actually hear what they're saying? Have you ever been at a conference where you're sitting at the side of the conference room and you got stuck beside the kitchen and they're like clanging dishes getting ready for the lunch buffet and you can't hear what the speaker's saying? Doesn't that drive you nuts? Sometimes you'll get up and shut the door if you can, or you're in one of the breakout rooms and, everybody's walking up and down the hallway because they're done already and your session isn't done. Again, you get up and shut the door. So make sure that you're doing that. Make sure that you can hear them and that they can hear you. So make sure that you've got that strong connection. Make sure that you can hear them. And then the third one around connect before you continue is around making sure that there are no distractions. Often when we are having these conversations in the office or in the group home or on site, we're making sure that it's a quiet time, or we're moving to another room, or making sure that nobody's going to listen in if it's a confidential conversation. So make sure that you're doing that in this virtual conversation. Are there distractions? Are there kids screaming in the background? Are your kids screaming in the background? Are they at a site where they can, not worry that the clients are going to keep interrupting them? If you're going to have one of those conversations, make sure that you've dealt with the distractions. And if those distractions pop up in the middle of that conversation, just slow down and stop and say, hey, do you need to deal with that before we continue? So the first strategy for rocking these online conversations is connect before you continue. I'm going to dive into the second one in a minute, but I want to let you know that next Wednesday, I'm having a full day session, free virtual leadership summit on April 8th, Wednesday, April 8th, from like 9 o'clock Mountain Time till 3 o'clock Mountain Time. So I'm going to have a bunch of different nonprofit experts in there. I've put the link in the notes, but if this is something that you're struggling with and you need help, make sure you register for that free summit. KathyArcher.com/virtual summit will get you there, but that's going to give you that information. Okay, let's dive into the second tip. So remember, the first one is connect before you continue. The second strategy that I want you to think about when you're having these virtual conversations is relationship before responsibility. So what does that mean? You've maybe heard the whole task relationship balance, and we need to have both as we're leading. That's what this is about. If you hop onto a conversation and you immediately dive into, you did this wrong, you forgot to do this, I need you to address this, this is a new protocol we're doing, bam, 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 bam. They're like, whoa, and you're blowing them away. And maybe that's the only time you talk to them. Maybe you only call, or you only say, hey, we need to have a Zoom call when something's wrong or when you need to address an issue. Don't forget about the relationship component. So before you move forward with the responsibilities of their job, the tasks that you need to do them to do, the things that you need to address. Stop and deal with the relationship. Hey, how you doing? How are things going? What's happened in your world? What's your struggles been? What are your joys been? Just, and it doesn't have to be like this whole big long thing, but it's the same as if you walk up to someone on the street. Normally what we say is, hey, how are you doing? Have a quick chat about the weather before we talk about their mother dying, for heaven's sakes, or the fact that they're overwhelmed at work. Connect to them. Connect to them as a person first. Relationship before responsibility. So again, the first one is, can you remember it? Right? Can you remember it? It's connect. I had to look. I was cheating. Connect before you continue. The second one is relationship before responsibility. So make sure that you can hear them. Make sure that you're connecting to them as a person. Make sure they can hear you as well. The third one is, I'm going to look at my notes again, pause before you proceed. In many of our conversations, especially face-to-face, we have the ability to pick up some of that body language. We can hear their tone. We can read into what's going on. Often we lose some of that with the virtual space. And so I want you just to remember, pause a little bit before you proceed in your conversation and insert more pauses in a virtual conversation. Is that making sense to you? Did you hear the 3 parts that I just said in that conversation? Did you miss anything? And then the other key component in this is, of course, the number one communication strategy, regardless of whether it's face-to-face or virtual, is listen more than you talk. Again, we're so stretched right now more than ever. There's lots going on. And oftentimes we just want to get on the call quick, deal with what we have to do, get off and move on to the next person, next issue, next challenge. Slow down. Pause before you proceed. Is there something I've missed? Has this made sense? Is there more you want to add? Did I understand you? Did you hear all of it? What do you want to add? Pause before you proceed. And again, this is so much more critical. Sometimes the lighting's different when we're on virtually, so you may miss some of the visual cues that you're normally used to getting when you're having a conversation. Again, the sound isn't quite the same. So make sure that you slow it down, pause, and just like lean in and just make sure you've heard what they've had to say. So those are the 3 strategies. Connect before you continue, relationship before responsibility, and pause before you proceed. So again, make sure that you're making sure that there's a good, strong connection, like virtual connection, so that they can hear you, see you, understand you. Then focus on relationship before responsibility. Make sure that you've, connected with them as a person, that you've asked them how things are going before you start dealing with the issues at hand. And then finally, that you pause before you proceed, that you check in a couple more times, because this is really important as you're going ahead with this. These are 3 really quick strategies to help you rock that next virtual conversation. If this has been helpful and you want more of this, make sure you sign up for the Virtual Leadership Summit happening on April 8th. If you can't make it, that's okay. Sign up anyhow, because you will get all of the replays. In the Virtual Summit, you are going to hear from industry experts in the nonprofit field talk about how to run those team meetings virtually, how to build trust online, how to develop those relationships online. I'm going to talk about, how to lead in this online world, and then, of course, how to take care of yourself as you're doing it. KathyArcher.com virtual summit, and you will get all of the information. It's free. It's there for you as a nonprofit leader to help you develop that level of confidence. Here's the thing. If you're lacking confidence in these virtual conversations, you're going to A, avoid them, B, do them not very well, 3, beat yourself up over them, and you're just going to struggle more than you need to. Don't do that. Get the help you need so that you can develop that confidence, have these courageous conversations that we need to keep continuing to have as we move through this. And that's what's really going to help you rock your virtual conversations. If today's episode has been helpful, you are going to find so much more information in the training library, which is my online membership site. Many women leaders think that they can't afford a coach or a mentor, but certainly wish they had somebody whispering them in their ear to get them through this. In the training library, you get access to ongoing personal professional development and a leadership development coach, that's me, at your fingertips. That way, when you hit all of these inevitable bumps and humps that leadership continues to throw at us, you will have the supports and the direction you need to develop that confidence, feel composed as you move forward, and rock leadership. The link is in the notes, but as well, it is kathyarcher.com library for more information. I will see you next Wednesday on the Virtual Leadership Summit. Again, head over and register for that. It's free. When you do this work, when you develop the skills, when you take the time, when you be more intentional in your leadership, you, my dear, will move from surviving to thriving in both your leadership and your life. Go make the rest of your day awesome, my dear.